Thank you for hosting us at the Ministry of Finance and Economy of Ajara in Batumi, and we will be having a discussion of investment opportunities in Ajara and in Batumi in general in Georgia. As we are now in Batumi, we want to introduce the Minister of Finance and Economy of Ajara, Mr. Jaba Phutkaradze, and we will be interviewing Cezary Zinuk and Irakli Arjevanidze. And thank you for your time and for your willingness to support the businesses and investments to come to Ajara and to Georgia.
It's my pleasure, and thank you and welcome to this wonderful city. And we had several meetings before, and I really appreciate the things the two of you are doing here to promote Ajara and the investment potential of Ajara to the world.
This is what we are trying.
Definitely. Jaba, if you don't mind, I would like to start with the first question. As you know, I represent the private sector, so we bring businessmen from Poland, from Israel, from Cyprus, from different countries to Georgia, and we help them with investments, registration of businesses, and generally expanding and bringing business to Georgia. I know how it looks from the private/business perspective, but maybe you could give a brief about what are the main investment sectors in Ajara region from your perspective as a government official and as representative of Georgia.
Thank you. First of all, I should mention that the private sector and the representatives of private sector are the most valuable people for us. So we really appreciate this interest. We try to develop several sectors. Of course, the tourism, the real estate, the agriculture, energy, production. But I should say that the tourism is the most important sector, which actually triggers and develops all other sectors, because even the real estate sector, which is one of the fastest growing and top sector from the value it creates, it's still linked to the tourism sector. So I should say that tourism definitely is the most important.
And as you mentioned, the tourism business is generating the biggest volume in the region. And can we have some kind of numbers in regards to tourists? Because I have heard that a couple of days ago, the Baltic Air started the new flights to Batumi. What are these new opportunities towards the tourism development?
So from the value added, Ajara creates more than $2 billion value, and I should say that more than 70% of this value is created from the tourism industry. So you could imagine how important is the tourism. So definitely we try to promote the touristic opportunities. Of course, so far we have been concentrated mainly on the mass tourism, and from this perspective, it is especially important to renew these connections, to renew the promotion activities, because we try to restore the tourism sector after the pandemics. As you know, for these 2 years we had
the COVID crisis.
Because of the COVID crisis and the problems it brought to the region and to the economy. Before the crisis in 2019, we had on average 15 to 20% increase in the number of the visitors. So it is very important to restore these numbers. I should say that right now we have more than 20% increase in the number of the visitors to the Batumi International Airport, and 50% of the touristic potential which we had before is already restored. And of course we plan a lot of activities in the country and outside to promote, to remind our tourists and our visitors that Georgia is still the very active, very nice, the top touristic destination. And of course we'll have different activities, including the new flights. We had As you mentioned, we had added the new flights from the Baltic states. Now we consider also to add from several other European countries, and also it is becoming one of the top priorities from the Gulf and also from other kind of the Asian countries.
Can we elaborate more about the countries where we are spreading the news about Ajara and Georgia, and basically the countries where we are receiving the tourists from?
I should say that every year we have the new countries in the list. For example, this year we are adding Hungary and also Slovakia. So in total we have 18 countries where we promote Georgian and Ajarian touristic potential, and most of them are from the EU countries. I should say that Poland is one of the top priorities, Czech Republic, as I mentioned, Hungary, Baltic states, very important. The Gulf countries are also very important, several CIS countries. So, and in all of these countries we have specific advertising activities, social media campaigns, TV, etc. So we are becoming to be more active, especially in the post-pandemic.
For sure, yeah, it's very visible. Even walking to the Batumi streets, we know that the high season has not even started. There are a lot of internationals walking, and some of them are having already vacations in Batumi. So seeing that in Batumi in not a high season, it's very pleasant.
I should say that again, because of the pandemics, I think a lot of people who are really in love with Batumi and with Georgia, as they had the opportunity, they started to come. So this season already in the end of April, beginning of May, we have already like the touristic season, which is like operates at almost the capacity at this season and at this period.
Guys, you have mentioned a lot of tourists being here in Batumi even right now, but what I've also noticed is a lot of businessmen and a lot of investors. Even while I was in the hotel today, there were plenty of people discussing purchasing of real estate and doing business in Batumi. So I would like to ask you, Jaba, about the real estate sector. We are selling properties on the regular basis. We have seen growth in the prices, growth in terms of quality and numbers of developments in Georgia, and generally the whole real estate sector, in our opinion, is developing. How would you comment this sector from your perspective, as you have the whole, let's say, global picture of how the whole real estate sector grows?
If you ask me to describe it with one more word, I should say it just skyrocketed like in the last 10 to 15 years, and especially this couple of years, even during the pandemics, we had like dramatic increase in the investments in the real estate. As with the tourists, I should say that most of the tourists who come here, they are all kind of they try to combine kind of the tourist, the relaxation, and also the business, because real estate in Batumi really allows you to kind of have the rest, have a nice time, and also to generate some income, because
for sure
there are a lot of companies, the developers who offer the flats for to stay, and also they are actually renting and trying to generate the income for those of assets which the tourists are owning.
Plus, the government is also having a special program for temporary residencies, so for the investors of the real estate. And on this topic, we will be having a separate video,
sure.
And we will not waste your time for having more details about that. But I want also to mention about the nomads, because as you have mentioned, there are people who are searching for investments for businesses, but I have seen a lot of people who have actually relocated to Ajara and especially to Batumi. These are basically the IT experts and people remote workers for like a digital nomads who has moved to Batumi, and they are providing their IT services or developments from Batumi. What can be your add-on or a comment about that, and how government is supporting?
This direction is kind of the IT service is becoming also one of the top directions and the industries, which is like developing very fast. I should say that because of the geographical location, because of the climatic conditions, because of the general environment, because it is like very open, the people are very friendly, every single person feels comfortable here, despite the background, despite the culture, religion, profession, any aspect, and every single person can find something here in Batumi. That's why it is becoming the very nice destination for them to live, and of course it is very cheap to live here and to have a lot of friends, to have the direct connection with a lot of countries. I should say that Georgia is the only country actually which has the visa-free regime and trade regimes with EU, CIS countries, China, USA, Canada, Turkey. So you could imagine that the people who operate here, they actually have the access to the whole world. So that's why the number of the people who are especially involved in providing the IT services like growing every day, and it is also becoming one of the priorities of the government to kind of try to develop the kind of the smart city concepts. There is actually interest from the private sector as well, mainly from the foreigners, foreign investors to develop, to take the land plots and try to rebuild like something like city to attract more of this type of IT service providers.
And I know that the Technopark of Georgia does have an office in Batumi as well, and they support some kind of startups, and they are having the coaching sessions for the IT experts as well. Because why I'm saying that is that I want to underline that for the IT people or for the IT companies who are searching to expansion, Georgia might be an HR market for them, and they can find a relatively cheaper IT specialist from Georgia, who will be speaking in English, maybe Russian, German, French, and so on, and some other international languages for the communication. And would you mind to add some tax incentives about the IT work from Georgia and from Ajara?
Sure. I mean, you have mentioned that there are many digital nomads and expats coming to Georgia. I can confirm that because I'm kind of involved in bringing these people, and I know many friends in Batumi and Tbilisi who have moved from Poland, from Israel, from Germany, etc. And one of the incentives that attracts expats and digital nomads to Georgia is taxation. So obviously the business infrastructure is great, and there is a nice climate. Cheap real estate, amazing food, amazing people, etc.
And the wine,
of course. But a big reason why some people are moving here is the taxation. So we'll be having a separate video about tax incentive in Georgia, but it's worth mentioning that business is done in a very friendly way in Georgia. The company can be registered in literally a couple of hours. Taxes are low, both on personal and corporate level, and there are a couple of tax incentives that the government offers, even resulting in zero taxation. So that's it. I mean, it's definitely a valid point. And Irakli, if you don't mind, I would like to ask a question to Jaba regarding business.
Yes, please.
I know, since we are helping the clients with registration of companies, that the process is very easy, efficient, fast, and nice. And Georgia, I think, now is on the 7th place in the whole world in terms of ease of doing business, which is obviously amazing. But Jaba, how would you comment the business incentives and of Georgia to foreign investors, and what Georgia can offer and how is it beneficial to the foreign investors to do business in Georgia
Or from Georgia?
or from Georgia?
That's a great question, actually. I should say that first of all, the general business environment. Again, it is very much easy to settle the company. It really takes several hours, and also the most important thing, as for me, is that we treat the local and foreign investors as the same, so we do not differentiate. And another most important thing is that everything, all the procedures are done in a very open way, so everyone can see what we are offering. It is very easy to meet the government representatives, discuss anything. We support them with the privatization, which is like going on in the auction, which is very open, which is very friendly, and they can be sure that no one ever would bring any problems to the foreign investors. Another very important aspect, as for me, is the taxes. As you know, we have 5 taxes only. Again, these are not offshore rates, these are official rates, and we have the lower taxes in the whole Europe. So of course it attracts the investors. And another very important thing is that we have several initiatives. For example, we have Estonian tax model on the corporate income tax. We have several municipalities, we call them mountainous regions, which are free from taxes for 10 years if they do some production and they employ the locals. Very important incentive which we have to offer to the people involved in IT services. So if they generate the service here, they provide the service, export the IT service, then they have to pay 5% only. And this is, I think, one of the most important initiative from the government to attract the companies and people employed in the IT sector.
And as just to clarify, the Estonian model of taxations mean that they literally do not pay any corporate taxes unless they decide to distribute their dividend, which is an amazing, and we will have a separate video about discussing these taxation models in Georgia. What I want to also mention in regards to registration, that the government attitude towards registration, they already use the blockchain technology in the information keeping and information sharing. And as we touched this blockchain technology, government itself is very crypto friendly. Opening, registering a crypto wallet in Georgia, it's license free. They can have a wallet and they can trade with the cryptocurrency to the Georgian national currency lari. So what is an attitude of the Georgian government and Ajara in Batumi towards the crypto-friendly tag of the country?
Well, I think the blockchain is the future. Okay, and that's definitely the Georgian government will keep this direction, and we will support as much as possible this technology. Of course, we think that the cryptocurrency and the blockchain technology will be one of the directions which could give the new life, new direction to the economic development. I think it would be, we do work actually to attract several companies, maybe who are involved in blockchain technologies and also in cryptocurrencies, several exchanges, for example, for the crypto. I think there is a huge potential, and I think it's a great time to use this opportunity.
Plus, I would like to mention that from my side, at least, we see a high degree of approval of cryptocurrencies in Georgia from the government side, because cryptocurrencies are defined in the income tax legislations. We know how to tax the cryptocurrencies on the corporate level. And what's very important to mention is that any income from the cryptocurrency is received on the individual level. So if somebody is living in Georgia and is a tax resident of Georgia, is tax-free. So if somebody moves from Poland to Georgia, he lives in Batumi, he is having an amazing life, and after a couple of months or years, he decides to cash Bitcoin to Georgian lari or euro. This income is totally tax-free, zero tax, which is obviously amazing, and which I believe will attract a lot of crypto enthusiasts to the country.
Sure.
And I would just add a little comment about the cryptos. It's absolutely legal for the companies to open the crypto wallet and issue the invoices in cryptos and keep it in the books and declare as an income and administer it as a standard invoices. Another advantage of Georgia, we have already mentioned there are several incentives and tax exemptions for IT experts, but we all know, and we will have a separate videos for the special license, so-called international company license, which is working for the maritime business. And in Batumi, we are having one of the most famous and one of the most old seaports, and we are having one of the biggest customs zone for the land transportations. So Jaba, I would kindly ask you to have a comments about this opportunity for the logistics companies and considering Georgia and Ajara, especially for the seaports, as a hub of logistics and the warehousing.
Okay, so the kind of the transportation and logistics is becoming to be very much popular, especially after the pandemics, during the periods of the supply side bottleneck, I should say. The Georgia is becoming to be the one of the top destination. We have the huge increase in the number of the transport registration of the transportation companies. They provide the maritime service, on land transportation, and of course the SRP customs zone is becoming to very much overload, and definitely this is kind of the one of the directions where we see the huge potential. As I mentioned, because of the geographical location, because of the infrastructure, so we have the port, railway, the airport, and also quite much developed road infrastructure, the highways, and they're now under the construction as well. At the end of this year, we will have already the Batumi pathway through highway will be also already in the exploitation. So you could imagine how much supportive will be this type of the initiatives. I should also say that the government, as the central, so local government, is trying to build the general kind of the communal infrastructure, the roads, gasification, water supply, water sanitation. So all these type of the infrastructure eventually supports the Georgia to be kind of the logistic hub. It is also becoming the very new direction, also the warehousing. I know that there are several companies who are already working quite hard to develop the warehouses in Tbilisi or in east part of Georgia, and there are also several companies who try to build, who are working on to develop the warehouse in close to Batumi. And from the government, we also offer the land plots through the auction, where the companies, the owners of land plot, have the obligation to build the warehouse. So you could see that there is a whole kind of the chain of the activities which eventually supports the logistics potential of Ajara.
We have helped several Polish companies, and we have already established one Polish maritime company in Georgia who will be helping a Georgian salesman to go to to find the European flagships for their jobs. Crewing, exactly. So can you elaborate more about that? Because Batumi is one of the center in the Caucasia for crewing and for supplying the specialists for the maritime business.
Sure, and it was kind of the historically.
Exactly.
We position historically that we are one of the top kind of the locations which provides the crewing companies with employees. So we have more than 11,000 registered Marines who work in different companies. I know that the companies registered in Cyprus, in Greece, the Turkish, UK, the whole Panama, and a lot of other countries, and we provide the people for them. We have Batumi State Maritime Academy, which is like one of the top universities here, who every year provides the quite high quality of students and graduates to the industry. From the local government, we provide additional funding to train the students, the graduates, for 6 months, so they can be like top quality service providers. And of course, this is also one of the directions which has the huge potential. We provide the additional funding to the Batumi State Maritime Academy and to this industry. And I should also say that from the money transfer and kind of the income to the region, the Marine and all these postgraduates are the ones who actually keep one of the top positions from the bringing the funding and bringing the money in the country. And of course, this is also very important from the currency inflow to the region, and of course to support the economic activity in the region as well.
Yeah, it's the thing to underline that in Georgia we even have registered captains in an international, very famous maritime company. So I do believe and I do agree with you that the maritime business is one of the huge opportunities in Georgia, especially with the tax incentives we have for them.
Definitely, and you guys mentioned maritime logistics warehousing, and this is all caused by trading. So I would like to discuss international trading in Georgia. As we know, Georgia is exporting wine and many agricultural products, fruits, vegetables, etc. As many people know, Georgia is also located on the Silk Road, so on the trading path from China to Europe, which I believe, considering the developments in Georgia, what's happening here is also shortening the whole way from China to Europe in terms of delivery of products. So, Jaba, how would you comment the developments in terms of trading? What Georgia is exporting? How is this location on the Silk Road working for Georgia? And how are the free trade agreements influencing the whole trading environment?
Definitely, the trading is it was and it's still is one of the most developed industry, again because of the geographical location. As you know, we are part of this Silk Road initiative, and we expect that a lot of developments in the logistics which will be going in the future will go through Georgia. And actually, we already have this the part of these developments. As I said, the huge through the from the registry perspective, the logistics, the companies who are registered is becoming top 5 industries. So you could imagine how dramatically this industry is growing. And of course, we could see that this the whole this increase in the number of the goods transported is directly linked to the trade. And of course, the numbers of the trade is growing. I should say that we have very nice tendency from the export increase perspective, and of course we should try to facilitate our export. As you know, the companies who produce and who export, they are free from VAT, especially from agricultural product, from the processing perspective. This is very important initiative. I should also say that Georgia and especially Ajara is becoming to be one of the top directions from the textile perspective. There are a lot of branded company who produce the different textile products, and most of them are exported. And I should say that this free trade agreement with EU, with USA, Canada, China, CIS, Turkey is a very important tool to promote the trade.
Okay, I would like to touch the topic of taxation one more time, if you don't mind, Irakli.
Yeah, we will edit it later. We will delete it anyways.
Thank you. We know that Georgia offers many tax incentives, so no corporation tax until the dividend is distributed. There is this special trading company regime that allows some trading companies not to pay tax, and there are free zones in Georgia that also allow no taxation if you do the business within free zones.
We could also mention that this is like one of the most important directions which we try to promote is and where we need and see the potential for the more experienced companies from Europe to come and do the business. Of course, is the processing and production. And we have two industrial zones, one close to Batumi and another close to Kabuleti, which right now we are developing. We are building the infrastructure, communal infrastructure, and also road, and offering the land plots. And the most important thing is for us to do the processing, to do the production, to build the factories in order to, again, increase the trade, increase the exports, and also, most importantly, to employ the locals. So we have these initiatives. We expect that in the Batumi industrial zone we will have more than $75 million investments, and we expect that there will be more than 1,000 new jobs created in that.
And the most important tax incentive for that is that due to the DCFTA agreement with the European Union, all the products produced in the country and getting the certificate of origin, so-called made in Georgia, actually frees you from the import tax to any state of EU. And basically Georgia is becoming a location where you can supply all the goods from or to any other Asian country. So it's geographically in the middle. And from here, as Jaba just mentioned, we have railway, airports, and seaports. And from here to distribute these goods to the European Union without import tax, it's might be very big incentive for the productions.
I think this is the direction which is heavily used by the companies, as I mentioned, in textile, involved in textile. Now there is kind of the new direction. There are also several companies who try to enter the furniture business and use this opportunity of free trade agreement and kind of the made in Georgia and use these tax incentives. So these two kind of the new directions, the textile and furniture, we have a quite kind of the positive expectations on this sector's development.
Yes, we already have one client. Actually, we help them for the furniture production. For furniture, they are using Turkish materials, and due to the DCFTA, Turkish materials can be considered as made in Georgia if we are assembling and making the final product in Georgia. So, and the client will be selling the furniture in Poland without import tax. So we do have this experience, which is working in real life, which is thing to underline. Another thing what I want to talk about is agriculture, because we are talking about logistics and the trading from Georgia, and due to the fact that we are exporting a lot of wine and the mineral and spring waters from Georgia, what are other options or opportunities? Because Batumi and Ajara is famous because of subtropical climatic zones. So we have a lot of tropical fruits like oranges or tangerines. And what are the options for productions? I know we also have some tobacco production in the region as well.
Well, also kind of because of the climatic conditions, and as you mentioned, Ajara was one of the top destinations from the agriculture, but I should say that there are historically it was the very popular the tobacco production, the citrus production, but now we are kind of moving from this in the kind of the from this kind of the products to other kind of the more exotic fruits, for example, and also now it is kind of the very big tendency to move to berries, and especially blueberries is becoming to be one of the mostly developed kind of the agricultural subsector. As I mentioned, of course, the citrus, very endemic, very special grapes types are growing here, especially in the mountainous Ajara. So the wine production is becoming to be also quite popular compared to the previous years, and especially because there are some sorts which are not growing in other parts of Georgia. So
very endemic, yes.
Yes, very endemic, and it has a very special flavor, and it's becoming to be very much popular. So wine production, citrus, blueberries, and general berries production is getting to be very much popular. Also, one very important direction is kind of the seafood and fish production. We have several kind of the companies who produce trout in the mountainous regions, and now there are companies who try to use the seawater to produce mainly to operate indoor kind of the facilities to have the year-round production of the seafood products.
I see. And another opportunity would be processing of all those products which we have mentioned, because again, processing is one of the hugest opportunities in the country, because this industry is still having a lot of free gaps which can be imported with an experience from the European countries, and for the investors it might be very interesting. And as we have already mentioned, processing of all the ingredients in Georgia can be later on traded with the European Union, with the DCFTA, and free from import tax.
Processing and production, I think, is the most desired industry for our government. And as I mentioned, especially for the foreigners, especially for the companies who have the relevant experience in the production in EU countries, this could be the best opportunity to come to use this business-friendly environment, low taxes, the logistical opportunities, and they could bring their experience, because I think one of the kind of the I should say disadvantages of the region is that we do not have a lot of companies who are involved in processing, and so any type of experience in this direction would be very much valued and appreciated.
Now, this means that there is an opportunity from a foreign business to come to Georgia and open processing facilities, manufacturing stuff, transportation, logistics, all these things.
This is exactly, and this is exactly where we hit it. And I would also ask you to kind of concentrate on this and promote this direction, promote Ajara as kind of the place where they can come and do their businesses. So actually, the model I can see it is that, for example, there is some company from Poland who is producing and assembling every part in one place. So it could happen that they can produce several parts, for example, even in Poland, but assemble everything in Georgia, or produce part of this and then export it from Georgia. So kind of the changing the production code and exporting the products as made in Georgia. So this is it has a huge potential.
What you've heard about a niche in sector of processing is obviously true, but what I've noticed from side of our clients who are in agricultural business and they're purchasing almonds and nuts from Georgia. In Georgia, there is also no processing of this product. So this is definitely a huge gap and big opportunity for businessmen from, I don't know, Poland, Germany, Italy, who have experience and who could change the whole environment of production in Georgia, because at the moment Georgia is exporting many raw products to Europe and to other countries. And if it would develop the processing infrastructure, it could export ready products and make more money.
Georgia, and especially this Ajara and neighborhood regions of Georgia, are in top listings of exporting the nuts, hazelnuts. So this is one of the opportunities in the region as well. And just to touch another issue, we have also already talked about the tourism. And I know that the government, and this is a key industry for the region. And I know that the government is working for diversifying the touristic attractions and the seasons from only the brand tag of a summer location to a year location. So can we elaborate more about this, what the government is doing for having a Batumi and Ajara as an whole year attraction location?
Sure, that's also one of the priorities of the government, to make Ajara attractive for 4 seasons. Because so far Ajara was kind of the positioning as a summer destination because of the sea, because of the sunny weather, etc. We have started the development of the winter ski resorts on Phutkaradze, which is developing very fast. Again, all the main infrastructure is ongoing. 25 projects which are developed from locals as well as foreigners. We have 4 5-star hotels already operating there. The government is planning to add several new directions for the ropeways. So it's a kind of the new destination, and we actually already had some activities this year, and definitely the next year will be kind of the absolutely different. Most of these projects will be already operational, and we hope that there will be new investments. Actually, we are offering the new land plots through the auction to build the hotels, to build the cottages, and I should say that the Phutkaradze and this winter ski resort is also for 4-season destination, because it's also the wonderful place to visit during the summer and other periods. We try to identify our niche, because we develop the mass tourism, and which is also like growing, as I said, at a very high speed. But it is also important to find the new niches, and from this perspective, one of the top priority is becoming the sport tourism. Within the last 3 years, we spent more than $100 million to build the sport infrastructure. So we have the brand new stadium, we have the new sport arena, we are building the heavyweight arena, we are building several stadiums for the rugby, to develop the rugby. We are building the water pool and ice arena, and all of this infrastructure are like the very high Olympic standards. So we already have this infrastructure. Now what we need is to include this type of the infrastructure to deliver the touristic services. So especially to bring the sportsmen to do pre-seasonal, pre-tournamental, intensive training campaigns and participate also in tournaments. So this is getting to be one of the top destinations, and especially using this microclimate which we have in the mountainous regions of Ajara is definitely an asset, and we're gonna kind of monetize that asset. Another direction is the wellness. Again, we have a very specific microclimate. We have very specific kind of the materials for the wellness, especially for the elderly tourists, especially for the people who are kind of the who need the post-trauma rehabilitation. Definitely, this is getting to be one of the priorities. Now, there is the $500 million Georgian lari investment, which is going in Kobuleti, which is done by the Czech-Slovak investors, and it will be the biggest wellness center in whole Europe. And also, like, it will have, of course, like all the sport related areas, and it will be also one of the biggest golf location, especially on the Black Sea. This is very important. Very important direction which promotes actually agriculture as well is the agritourism. And again, we try to push the visitors to the mountainous Ajara, because as you can see, the real asset of Ajara is the mountains. Of course, we have the sea, we have the very nice cities and seaside zones in Batumi, in Chakvi, in Gonio, in Kobuleti. But as for me, the real asset and the real beauty of Ajara are the mountains, and we try to have more activity directed to Ajara. And I should say that before the pandemics, we had 128% increase in the number of the visitors in the mountainous Ajara. So you could see that it's a huge potential. One more very important initiatives is that we do several touristic locations. For example, we are building the longest zip line in Europe, which will be around 2 kilometers. And
in the mountains of Ajara?
Yes, in the mountains of Ajara. So this zip line will be on around more than 2,000 meter altitude above the sea level, and it will be the longest zip line. So you could imagine how what type of the touristic services we are offering. And of course, this type of infrastructure in combination with the very kind of the old buildings, the very traditions of mountainous Ajara. I should mention that they have absolutely different food and the very tasty kind of the culinary in the mountainous Ajara. Very nice traditions, and we are kind of trying to combine this old kind of the untouched nature and kind of the environment, and combine it with the like modern kind of the technologies. We are building the kind of the very nice cottages, which creates which makes you feel that you live in like the very fancy environment.
I do believe and I do agree with Jaba that nature and the mountains are one of the biggest values of the region and the country, what we can offer. But the listeners and the visitors, when they will come to the country, they will definitely understand that the people are also one of the biggest values what we can offer to the industry and to the business. I want to also mention about the development within the touristic business, that we already have a majority of biggest names in the hospitality business. Like in Batumi, we have a hotel of Sheraton, Radisson, or Best Western, Marriott.
Like all of them are already here.
Yeah, and they also can have option to open the casinos, and the gambling tourism was one of the opportunities for the visitors because of having a geographical location. Developing the gambling business might be very interesting. Plus the license, it's absolutely legalized in Georgia, and we have all the licenses what is needed for that, and it's relatively cheap and relatively easy to obtain and to manage. So can you elaborate a bit?
Sure. So this is also in line with our strategy to make Georgia attractive for season around there. And as you can see, because of the geographical location, Batumi is also very much attractive for the gambling. and especially in non-seasonal periods, there are a lot of people coming from neighboring countries, from the Gulf, from Israel, as well from Turkey and other neighboring countries who make actually all this touristic infrastructure to be operational in non-seasonal periods. And of course, from the government perspective, it is absolutely open. The licenses are very easy to get. We have the incentive that if you do the 100 number hotel, then you could get the license for free for 10 years, and which is also kind of the gives the incentive to this type of the operators to enter this direction as well.
Plus, the government is also having an opportunity if they are bringing the franchise of international brands. The government is also covering the part of the franchising fee of bringing the international brands to the countries. And besides these touristic attractions, what we have been discussing, can we have some kind of announcement for the season? What kind of events are we already having planned for the summer? Because behind the cameras, we have been discussing the Jazz Fest, which is very famous, but because of the COVID time, it was postponed or cancelled for last year. But what are the plans, what you already know, what we can also already announce, which is ready for the season?
So I should say that first of all, we have a lot of business related kind of the activities. We had a couple of days ago, we had the Czech-Georgian Business Forum, and we had more than 200 participants on this forum, that like Georgian and Czech companies. And I know that we have the very important business forum in July also, where will be the representatives from a lot of many countries. And I know that there are also several other forums with the Polish delegation. We operate very kind of in very close cooperation with the representatives of the Baltic states. Cyprus as well is becoming to be one of the very, very interesting directions from where the businesses and the visitors coming to have this type of the relationship. And of course, a bunch of cultural and sport entertainment related activities. Our tourism department is planning like local cultural promotion, kind of the forums and activities, and of course, like the Jazz Festival is one of the top cultural and entertainment activity. We have Batumi Ladies Open in tennis, which is also very much popular. A lot of this type of the activities, which actually makes the visitor to receive this kind of the additional services, the entertainment services, in combination with the wine and Georgian food and friendly people.
And I have also heard that the local football club, Batumi Dinamo, is part of the European League, so congratulations for that. And so we will be having the international matches in the Batumi Stadium, isn't it?
Actually, as I mentioned, we have this brand new stadium, and in part, of course, because of this infrastructure, and of course, in part because we have a really great football team. We are so last time we were the winners of Georgian football tournament, like Umarlesi Liga, and this year our team participates on the League Champions tournament, and of course we expect that we have actually quite high chances, and we will host many football matches here. We have also very successful rugby team, and the rugby is also becoming to be the priority in Georgia. Next year, Georgia also hosts the international tournament in football among the young players, and right now we are developing this infrastructure. So a lot of activities, international activities are planned, which actually makes this region and this place very attractive from the entertainment perspective.
So it looks like Georgia is becoming a sports destination as well.
Not
only
Definitely.
Touristic wise.
Sport is like getting to be one of the priorities, and also kind of the entertainment destination.
Yes, because I have heard a lot of very famous international names which are already planning to come to Georgia. And before the COVID, we have, I don't know, Jamiroquai, even we have a Led Zeppelin here. They are acting separately, but still they were having this kind of attractions. We have Maroon 5 concert in Batumi. So many international names already have given the concert in Batumi, and I do believe that within next years they will be having here.
And this is just the beginning.
Agree. This is why we are saying that, especially.
Snoop Dogg also. Sorry for interrupting.
Snoop Dogg was in Plan B, actually. when one of the actors didn't come, they called Snoop Dogg. It's a real story. They called Snoop Dogg, and the guy said, "Okay, I have free time, I can come." And he made the best show ever, and he was DJing by himself, and it was like a crazy party there. Thank you everyone for this interview. As you know, we will be doing a series of recordings and videos on YouTube about investment opportunities in Georgia. To see all the rest of the videos, please follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and all the descriptions and all the other links to other of our videos you can find in the descriptions below.